I wanted to start by, I am a glasses half full person, and you will get a more of a positive spin than a negative from me. Uh, Everything that I say is with a grain of salt because I know a lot of you are out there suffering. It's sad for me to think that there are people that won't recover from this in our profession, and but I hope there will be a pearl in the content that I'm creating in this time that helps you thrive and survive better than you may have, or actually helps you. So that's what the whole point of this is, to kind of guide the community. I've 27 years of practice experience. I've been through multiple crises over time. I've survived them and ultimately ended up thriving. So I want to start by talking about the temporary things going on. Sit back and think about the fact that this is temporary. And while temporary, it could happen again in the future, but your practice, if you can stay afloat financially, and hopefully some of the vehicles they're providing will help you do that, will thrive again in the not too distant future. It's really a weird time. I spoke last night with how we fared through different tragedies and pandemics and things. He had to deal in his area, New Jersey, with the anthrax problem that shut them down for 2 weeks that they had a hard coming out of. I had to deal with the DC sniper shootings, which basically shut us down. People were not going out for non-essential things. They were running from their cars to their doors, ducking, afraid that somebody was going to snipe them. It was a scary time. But through all of the things, through all the times we've had downtime, through 9/11, through the anthrax, through sniper shooting, there's been one common thing, and that is you don't lose business. The business might not be there now, and your liquidity will go down maybe to zero for some of you, but you don't lose the business. The business will come back. Same thing that the practice management experts talk about, but on a longer scale. For instance, a lot of doctors I know can't think vacations, much less a vacation, because they say they're going to lose business. Well, the reality is, for the existing patients at least, patients who they're going to schedule for later. They're going to push back. So that block of patients you're not going to see will get pushed back to a different date when you're back. And the revenues at that point will go up, whereas the revenues for the week you're away go down. And it's a wash. Hopefully it's a net gain because they appreciate you, and psychologically they'll come back and they spend more than usually when they don't have access to you all the time. So in that manner, another analogy is doctors who work 5 days a week but don't have a full schedule those 5 days a week and complain they can't get anything done. Well, if you take one of those days, like I historically would take Wednesday off, and it wasn't off, it was an admin day. But and then those patients that I didn't see Wednesday, they weren't gone. We didn't lose revenue. They moved to the other days and filled up those schedules. So where I'm going with this is, for this pandemic, we're out a month. Who knows, right? We don't know. But what's going to happen to those patients is the loyal ones, they're going to move into that next, mostly you're going to move into that next block when you come back. And you will see them again. And your practice will be busier then to make up for being not busy now to a degree. And people can argue that all they want, but this is generally the way it happens. New pages, something we're going to talk about. How do we get your brand out there every time so people come in and see you who may not have seen you before? That's a good thing to spend time on too. But consolidating your days to have an admin day to get stuff done during normal, and when our society is in its usual normal condition, is a good idea. Taking a vacation for a week is a great idea. You will get that business back. And if you could pay your rent, your loans, and your bills, and you'll be paying, you'll get up plus some in the distant future. And the rest of this you can do now to prepare for success after. I know a lot of you are, including myself, I am too busy in clinic to get stuff done. And that's really the focus of this. What can we get done now? You probably know some of this, but some of it, you may not know, and I'd love to hear your thoughts and comments on that too. The first thing that I'm going to talk about today, and it's the thing I'm really, really big on, I've been big on it my whole career, is marketing. And I didn't even know what marketing was until I business for myself. I never even paid attention to it. I was, like science and math geek, and, I went into a career where I was seeing patients in a tiny little dark room all day. But when I finally realized how important marketing was for my practice, and I started reading and learning, I realized, wow, I can do this. And I was pretty good at it. Had I known, it could have been another career for me. Who knows? But this is the time to start thinking about creating a detailed marketing plan. And that may be something that you had thought about in the past or had not thought about. But in any event, it's something that I strongly recommend. And if you do create the plan, executing it is a whole nother thing. A lot of it can be executed during this time because most of it's free. A lot of it's free if it's like a website that you already paid for and built out. And some of it requires small amounts of expenditures, directory listings, and maybe having the people who made your website add things to your website, like content you create. So the first thing we want to talk about is the website. And hopefully everybody out there has a decent website. I know that's not the case because when I vet every member of this community, I look at their website to see if they are who they say they are. And I've seen tens of thousands of your websites out there. And there's a lot of great stuff, and there's a lot of crazy bad stuff that is not helping you. Another webinar talking about websites, and I may even have people who will allow me to create a website, and then I'll do a critique. So that'll come in the future. Got plenty of time. So, in your website, one of the things you can do if you have the funds and the means is do a rebuild with if it's an older site, or it could be better, through whatever web company you're working with. There's time now. You can do it remotely, and it often takes a lot of time to do that. It'll give you more time now to kind of really dig down and make it a really high quality website, to build extra content. Some of the things that you can do when you rebuild it is take a screenshot of reviews you get in Google and Yelp, screenshot the good ones, and put them directly on the website, because those reviews probably will be there. Some could be gone later, and putting them on your website gives people a chance to see them without reviewing you, and people who don't know what are saying about you. Clearly, anybody here is bright enough to understand the value of having a review directly on the website. Usually people will either have to go somewhere else to see those reviews, or be exposed to all your reviews somewhere else, like if they find you through Google or Yelp. But this way, it's right in their face when they come to your website. So take screenshots of all of the reviews you like, compile them into a web document, and put it on your website. You can put it in a dedicated page, or you could have one or two of the really great ones right up front, so when people first get to your website, they see that. So posting, let's call it posting reviews outside of the review channels. The next thing I want to talk about is really important, and it's going to sound not that important, but it's super, super important. It's called SEO, search engine optimization, and what it refers to is your website floating to the top of Google for the keywords and key phrases that people use to search for the products and services you hope to be found for. If somebody types in my optometrist, Rockville, Maryland, I want to come up on top of Google for that. If they type in why are my eyes dry, I want to be found for that. If they type in any myopia management, I want to be found for that. Orthokeratology, things like that. People search using one of three ways: keywords, which is just a word like orthokeratology, phrases, which would be like optometrist, and the long-tailed phrases, which why are my eyes dry, or why is my child's vision getting worse? And when you have content online that addresses those, literally, especially for the long-tailed keywords, that is word for word exactly the same, you come up higher than someone who has similar content without the same phrase. And I'm not going to get too deep into the SEO, but one of the most important aspects of SEO, and this is what I was getting towards, is what's called the NAP, your NAP. And your NAP is not something you're going to do because I'm boring you. Your NAP, it stands for name, address, and phone number. Now get this. We are on the address and phone number on multiple different sites. Where it's on our website, maybe it's on our blog, maybe you have it on Yelp, you have it on Google, and probably name 3 or 4 Square, any of those other sites. Any you have your name, address, phone, and Google. When it sees a a business with a name, address, and phone number, the same one, two, or more of the property, it links together. And if the name, address, and phone number is written differently, even a tiny bit, sorry about that, I'll turn the volume off on that. If it's written differently, even a tiny bit on any of those sites, Google can't make that connection. And each connection that you have is kind of like Google Juice for that search engine optimization, for elevating you in search. So if your Yelp, your Google business page, your website, your blog, everything has the exact same text for your name, address, and phone number, that's going to add your search. For instance, if on one site its address is 15200 Shady Grove Road, Suite 100. If on one site I have it written that way, and on the other site it has hashtag 100, like pound 100, that Google doesn't make as good a connection between those two things, and it drops my SEO value down. So you can do this, except for on your website, you can make changes on all those other places you can find online to your address and phone number so that they all are the exact same that they're written on your website. A good free thing you can do that adds a lot of juice to you in terms of elevating you for search in your area for the products and services that you want to be found by people. So work on that NAP. After you do that, and that doesn't take too much time, do it by searching your name in Google and finding all the sites you may not even realize you're listed on, and make sure that you edit the phone number. After that, what you can do for your patients is you can create downloadable content for your practice. I know that a lot of us still hand out pamphlets in our office. And so 1990s, we right now we're in a where people get information digitally, and they like to get it digitally. By having it digital on your website, you will be able to refer people there and not have the expense, hassle, or inconvenience of having paper things around that you have to restock. You can guide them there easily, and in your customer communication software, you can even send that link that you created on this topic as well. So it's a great idea to sit down for the major conditions that you treat, and in your own words, write something for them that becomes an electronic pamphlet, and then get rid of pamphlets, get them out of your office again. They kind of clutter things up. They look messy and dirty, and when you hand them to someone, subconsciously they're thinking this is kind of an old-fashioned thing to do. So things that people can download from home. Anyone who doesn't have a blog, or does have a blog, opening a blog is a good idea, but creating content for that blog and for your website as well is good. The downloadable content you create could be as simple as the content you put up on the website. You don't even have to create a specific pamphlet, just direct them to it. Make sure that your website is full of as much great information as you can provide to your patients. Remember, Google picks up on those long-tailed keywords, the keywords and phrases that people are using to find you, and the higher you'll elevate for certain subjects, certain topics that you want to be found for in Google. So create enough content that you can create some for later. So let's say 3 months into this, you're definitely 3 months out. For the 3 months out of this, when you're seeing patients again, you're getting in clinic trying to make up for lost time. You're probably not going to be able to lift your head up to catch your breath. You're going to be seeing so many patients. So make sure that you create this content, and you can auto post it over the next 3 months. So you don't even have to think about your marketing efforts and your website effort. You can schedule it, and a lot of the softwares enable that to happen. And if you have a blog, you can do that with that as well. So create content for now. Create content that replaces pamphlets, and create enough content so that you can schedule it for later. And when I say content, I'm referring to articles and things about the eye. What is astigmatism? How do I clean my contact lenses? Things like that. That's content. Content comes in many forms. It comes on your Facebook page. Just content. It is content. A blog article, a website article, any of that is content. A video blog like I'm doing right now. These are all things that are content that add value to your efforts. One of the real low-hanging fruit things is working on your Google My Business page. It used to be you go to Google/My Business, and from there you could find the ad for your listing on Google. We've all seen our listings on Google. Hopefully we're managing them well. Yeah, I think you still do go to google.com/mybusiness to find yours. And in there, a website for you that houses all your social reviews through Google. And some of us have never even been to ours, and Google is in control of it. It's really important to grab control of your own internet real estate, and that's a very, very important Google My Business page. Which it's often find first. And your Google My Business page should be loaded with great information about your practice. Load it up with photos. Load it up with videos. Put in your practice hours. It gives you an opportunity to checkbox things about your practice, so make sure those are accurate. And in there, you can go and look at social reviews that, if you haven't been to this, you may never have. It's important on the internet to be able to tell your own story and not let the internet tell it for you. So if you have reviews that are less than perfect on them, you're going to address them. I have a lecture called Yelp Help, which I go over how what I feel is the proper way to address reviews and turn lemons into lemonade. I might even do one of those talks soon. That's a cope course. I may maybe just do it for free cope here. And anyway, some pictures, ideas, fill out your Google My Business page. Again, that's free, and that results in almost an immediate boost in your search engine optimization. When you have a really thorough Google business page kept up regularly, in other words, when Google knows that you're regularly putting and using it, they also give you some Google juice to elevate your search for the products and services you want to be found for. So Google My Business, free, easy. You can do that right now. And you can reach out to me if you have any questions about it. I'm always happy to help. Build your social media presence. Right now, you probably have a practice Facebook page. A lot of you have some other pages and places too. But do you have an Instagram, a practice Instagram? If you do you use it? Are you building it out? Do you have a Twitter? Do you have any of these things? If you can, and you want to build them out and you plan on keeping them up subsequent to this is a good time to do that. Social media is interesting in terms of value for search engine optimization and everything. If you have one or two social media sites that you use for your practice and you do them both well, you don't need 5 or 10 or 20. So you may not feel your audience is on Instagram. You may not feel it's a good use of your time to work there, and that's okay. But on the social media you do use, working it great, and it'll come back to you. The benefits will come back to you through marketing and droves. My mindset: the more internet real estate you have, because people. How many 50-year-old people in my practice use only Instagram and don't even use Facebook? And we hear that Facebook is for older people, but I have a lot of people that are using just Instagram now. So consider that. And one of the places that I'm going to talk a lot about today that I noticed not a lot of people really keep up with is LinkedIn. And LinkedIn, a couple of years ago, turned into a very good social platform. And a lot of people who feel that Facebook is juvenile or silly or just a place to post stupid memes and don't do Instagram, actually do a lot of business and a lot of connecting on LinkedIn. In this era, too, with the COVID and everything, connecting with local professionals who you may be able to network with subsequent is really important, and you can do that on LinkedIn. When I started with LinkedIn, it was just kind of a Rolodex for people, but now there's a lot of services on there. Many you looking for jobs, but there's a job finder in there where people post jobs. There's marketing solutions in there as well, and e-learning and all this stuff. But LinkedIn is also a place to put a practice page. And when I'm vetting members, I often look through LinkedIn to see if I can find them. And a lot of them have basically empty LinkedIn pages and no practice LinkedIn pages. So it's something that you can do to have a nice little professional social media channel you can build on and will drive value to you as well. We also have a sister site on there to OD's on Facebook called OD Network. If you go to LinkedIn and you search OD Network, you'll find it. But I'm not using this to really market. I really want to add value to your life. So if you not OD's on Facebook, especially with all the video content I'm giving you guys. So one of the areas that I recommend people look into is your customer communication software. I know that when I was heavily involved with mine, there were probably features in there that it offered, but there were only 2 or 3 features that I really focused on using. The social review channel, the e-newsletter things, and maybe 1 or 2 other features. But there's a ton of features in there that you can use to help your practice. And I'm not going to be doing this now because I sold my practice 2 years ago, and it's not my job anymore. But if you have the time and the inclination, go through the features in your customer communication software and see what's available to you, see what you can plug in and drive value to your practice through in terms of marketing, because it's a great tool. It's a great tool for recalling, of course. It's a great tool for getting reviews, and it's a great tool for a lot of other things. So definitely visit your customer communication software. Try and learn about it. And you can also delegate that to some of your staff if they're sitting around. This is a big thing that somebody emailed me about the other day. You know, one of the revenue streams that we still have going for us are contact lens sales. And contact lens sales, aren't going to float you too far out, but it's a revenue stream. And make sure you post on all your social media and using your communication software, let all your patients know that they still have the ability to order contacts without. They'll push out their prescriptions for a while. And don't forget, this isn't important only to drive revenue to you, but during this time where companies that we compete with, like 1-800, are not sending their verification forms. They're just filling patients' prescriptions. And while illegal, it's good luck fighting it right now. We're too busy doing other things. These companies get in front of your patients multiple times a year by email and other methods. People see them when they look on the web, generally for other stuff. They are getting in front of your patients while your patients think about contacts. They may not even think about you. They may go right there. So regularly, it's important in normal times to send out notifications about these things and stay in front of your patients, stay visible to them, so they don't get distracted and run off to one of these. So tell patients they can order contacts. Tell them all over your internet and all over your social media stuff, and also make sure that you let them that you're there in whatever way you can. It requires you or your staff to hand phone call everyone out there. It's a good use of the time. Now, be careful also, though. Remember, when you get your margins are so low in contact lenses, I'd hate to see you get this revenue in and then start spending it on things like that you really need to, like rent and everything, and real important things. I'm not saying stupid things, but important things. And then when the contact lens bill comes, know your margins and know what you need to have to pay your invoices when all of a sudden all your other revenues are down, but your contact lens revenues are up. Just be really careful about that. I worry about people getting in situations where they can't pay their bills because they didn't move their money around wisely. So that's one way we can drive a little revenue too. Going back for a second to the patient communication, draft your newsletter or several and schedule them out. You can schedule them out so over the next year they're going out automatically and you don't have to do much. There's also, if you go through, and this isn't just for communication software, but if we look at go into all your reviews, all your Google reviews, your 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 stars, your Yelp reviews and everything, and spend some time really reading them, because this is the reviews are information that people are giving you about your business for free. You know, most of us have in our area have sat in a marketing group where you're paid like $300 for an hour to sit in a room with 10 to 12 other ODs and with a one-way mirror there and talk about their products. And those companies can spend $10,000 to $30,000 on one of those events, and they're getting information about their product. Your patients give away useful information in their reviews about your practice, and most of that information is accurate. And of course, there's always outliers of people who are crazy and everything, but you can even glean some information from those on how you might make your practice run better. So read through all your reviews, good and bad, as painful as that might be, and think about things based on those reviews. so this is running smoother, and you've used that good information, good and bad, to do that. It's really easy as us to think that we're perfect and we do everything right. Anybody who says anything bad about us is total BS. But it actually is very, very valuable. The smartest and best business owners I know are open to criticism and take it to heart. When I would see a bad review, of course it upset me. It's viscerally. It upset me. 20 hours, stepped away from it, and thought about it before I responded. And that's something that you'll need to do too. A lot of allergies here in DC. If you see me sniffing and blowing my nose, no COVID, not yet. I don't know if I care or whatever, we'll see, but I'm fine. So crowdsourced information is free and at your fingertips in your online reviews. Now, another thing you can do, and this is not my idea, somebody talked to me about this the other day, reach out to the physicians in your area seeing patients, let them know that you're there for emergencies. I'm sure there's a lot, they're having trouble, especially when it comes to finding open practices. I know in our area, most of the physicians send to ophthalmology. Most of them don't even know what optometry is capable of doing. So let them know that. Build relationships during this time. You can do that remotely, of course. And let them know you're here for their urgencies and emergencies. You might build up a nice little referral source subsequent to this pandemic. So, of course, getting caught up with CE is an obvious one. If your state allows it online, if your state is limited in the amount of CE it allows you to take online, spend your time lobbying them to allow more, writing letters to the board, and if they get or maybe spearheading an effort in your area with your colleagues to get your board to accept it, so that if there is a future pandemic, they do think that this recurs. So in a few months down the road, there may be a second or third wave. There was in the 1918 influenza pandemic. So if you can get them to approve that, then you'll be in a really great place. My state allows 20. That's a lot. California, other states allow 2 or 3, and that's ridiculous in this day and age. So if it counts, if it doesn't count, spend your time writing letters and organizing to get your state to accept it subsequently. I can't see them now after this, right? I mean, right? So another thing you can do during this time is people over the course of my career, I hired and worked with certain practice management experts, and most of them I got a lot of value out of. I remember when my practice was smaller, being with one practice management expert, and we grew it to a point where I had done pretty much everything that they had recommended, and I wasn't really getting any more, I'm not going to say great advice, but I wasn't really growing anymore because I had basically optimized it. And I found a new consultant who was better for now my medium-sized practice, and I moved over there, and that was great for a few years. And then after 1 or 2, 3 of those, my practice was so big, and I had already implemented all that learning that I had to really look out of the box to take it to the next level. It was a much bigger business, so things that applied to bigger businesses were much more applicable. And the way that I got out of the box information and applied it was by reading business books that had anything to do with optometry. But sometimes I would get no value out of a book, and sometimes I would get a lot of value. Most often, though, every book had 1 or 2 or 3 really important pearls in it that I was able to apply to optometry and really take that practice to the next level. When your practice is big enough, when you've been at it long enough, you yourself qualify as a practice management expert. So if you're a good teacher, you can do that. But at this point, I wasn't interested in that. I really, really wanted to just grow my practice even bigger. I've got a list of a few great business books here. One that I really love that I had a hard time really understanding the value it brought until the last quarter of the book. But then I was floored by it. Was a book called The Goal by somebody last name started with Gold, Ellie something. And The Goal was a book about a company that was manufacturing things that had big problems, and they brought in this expert to help them. And the expert helped them, but in a way that he didn't really give them the answers. He asked questions that made them figure it out of the book was, when your practice gets to a certain size, your growth is limited because of the constraints in the business that are keeping it limited, like the flow. We have a 7-lane pre-testing area. Well, we wanted to be busier, but we would start behind because of the each one took 5 minutes, and by the time we got to the fourth one, that fourth doctor's patient was 20 minutes behind. So this book talks about constraints in your business, both in terms of customer flow, in terms of financial flow, and things that are constraining you from going to the next level. And it's really good. It's written in a really interesting way. It's written like a novel, so it's an easy read, but you won't really see how a lot of it applies to you till you get 3/4 of the way through the book. But hang in there with that book. It's called The Goal by Ellie someone. Another good business book that I like is called First Break All the Rules, What the World's Greatest Managers Do Differently by Jim Harter, Harter. Really good book. I'm not going to get into too much of the details. I only have 5 of them here, so just write them down and then read them. That's by a name Stewart, Stewart, called Den of Thieves. Built to Last. A lot of us have heard about that. If you haven't, put that at the top of your list. That's a classic one by Jim Collins. In Search of Excellence, Lessons from America's Best Run Companies by Thomas Peters. So In Search of Excellence, Lessons from America's Best Run Companies. One I really like, The Smartest Guys in the Room, The Amazing Rise and Scandalous Fall of Enron. There's a lot of great lessons in there that will help you inside and outside of optometry. So it's Smart Guys, The Amazing and Scandalous Fall of Enron by McLean is the last name of the author, Bethany McLean. Really great read, really fascinating. And if you don't know what happened in that Enron scandal, this is really, it's eye-opening. Another one that I love is The Gate by Burrow, Burrough. It's about the fall of RJR Nabisco, which was a huge company, and as you all know, everybody about Nabisco. And then another class one that people I know have been very successful always is Good to Great. Why Some Companies Make the Leap and Others Don't. That's again by Jim Collins, who also wrote Built to Last. So real quickly going through that list, then First Break All the Rules by Harter, Den of Thieves by Stewart, Built to Last by Collins, In Search of Excellence by Peters, The Smartest Guys in the Room by McLean, Barbarians at the Gate by Burrow, and then Good to Great by Collins again. And that should keep you busy for a little while. You are voracious readers. Hopefully you'll be able to get through all those. But put them on in a pile and work your way through it. So another thing you can do with this time, a lot of us have thought about having specialty, and maybe we went to that level that we want. Specialty is critical because our revenue streams are shrinking. Our vision plan reimbursement is shrinking. There was an announcement by VSP they're getting into medical. I guarantee you use that as an opportunity to shrink our reimbursements on the medical side. But if you ever thought of having a specialty, now's the time to study what it takes to do that and to plan. And even implement so that when you open your doors, you're ready to go. Some of the specialties, in our area are specialty contact lenses, vision training, vision therapy, low vision. One that I'm particularly into, myopia control. These are all very lucrative specialties that people make it for, that are not fully covered to a great degree and drive a lot of financial benefit to your practice, and also adds a lot of value to your helping them that only you as an optometrist are qualified to help them with. No other optometrist out there is qualified to help a child with some binocular vision issues. No other professional out there is qualified to fit myopia control. And myopia control sounds scary to a lot of people. The act of doing myopia control is very much just fitting contacts generally, to atrophy and new glasses options, but really, who can do that better than you? It's just to go from learning to what you know about contacts now to learning what you do with myopia control and contact lenses. It's the people who figured that out. the Mark Bullimores, the Carla Zadniks of the world that are, and forgive me if I forgot anyone, Kate Giffords of the world that have figured out how to do this. That's science. That's my control. It's not rocket science. It's something you time do really well. And maybe I'll do a Facebook Live on myopia control. That would be worthwhile. So build a specialty, or if you have a specialty, focus on marketing it or enhancing it in some way. Next, and this is one I'm really big on. I've said this multiple times. Sorry if it's repetitive, but a banker. When lines of credit become available, they'll know you're looking for them and reach out to you. When different financial vehicles become available, they'll look out to you as well. It makes the process simpler and easier knowing a banker. And I use the analogy of what it takes to get a loan in normal times. You think of a pie chart, and on that pie chart's broken up, and the pie chart are your finances, your debt, how much debt you hold, and your credit. Of course, that's a huge chunk of it. Your past 3 years of taxes. These all make up the biggest parts of that pie when a bank is considering giving you a loan. A small but important chunk of your relationship with that bank, because if they know you and they know that you're a reputable small business person in the area, and they don't have to figure that out, if they have had a lunch with you a couple times, they understand how much how you're passionate about your business, how you're passionate about patient care, and how responsible you are, and how much your patients love you, then when they sit down to make those decisions, if they're offering you the loan or not, if they have that personal relationship with you, they're more likely to say yes. And this is something I've done over the years, and it's worked very well. So build a relationship with a banker, and ask them to keep you in the loop on things. I saw today a couple banks, I think Bank of America was one of them, was not offering lines of credit to people who didn't already have accounts there, or loans or something like that. So those people already had a relationship with the bank. Of course, maybe it wasn't personal, but had it been, they may have had a better shot at that. So get to know your bank, get to know a banker, and periodically reach out to them, have lunch with them. Never know when you're going to need them. So most of us here applications going for SBA, small business loans, the PPPs, the CARES Act, and all that stuff. So just start filling out those forms. Start getting that ready. Don't delay. There already is a huge rush to receive those funds. I know some people already have received some funds. So make sure that you get to work on that. That kind of goes without saying, but this is kind of just a general. Don't delay on that. Another thing you can do during this downtime is go through all of your credit card statements line by line. Go through your accounting software, your QuickBooks, line by line. And while a lot of the recommendations I gave you are to help build your practice through marketing, drive more revenue through specialties, on the other side of the coin, you need to save as much as you can and cut expenses to improve your net profit. There's a lot of unnecessary expenses we have, and we don't have the time always to go through it line to line. And if you have a financial person that does that for you, that's great, but how do you know if they're doing a great job? Now's the time to figure that out, because you have the time. Sit down and go through every line by item, and for the things that are expenses that you need, try and study and lower those expenses by finding a new vendor or negotiating with this. This is a really, really good use of your time. It's something that people rarely have time for because we are in clinic. We're seeing patients. When am I going to have time to do that? Do you do that? I know a lot of people who go home and do that at night or stay at their office till 8 or 9 at night to do this stuff. We don't want to have that quality of life for very long, if at all, and we don't want it to continue when we go back to work. So we consider digging down on these things. Sometimes it's hard to look at because you see the reality of your business, but this is good for you and it's good for the people who depend on you. So definitely go through these things, looking for erroneous charges, looking for things you're spending too much money on that you need but you could spend less. And this is your actually help you, especially if this thing plays out like it seems to be playing out. You can also connect with your accountant remotely in a lot of cases to go over everything in detail. I know that my accountant pipes into my QuickBooks remotely and raises red flags when things aren't looking good in one way or the other, and we've done that for years. It's very helpful. Set something like that up. It can be done remotely. Of course, we talked about negotiating, looking through your expenses. On the tail end of that is talk to your suppliers, regardless of whether you look at your expenses or not, and see what if they're willing to do something for you, short term or longer. Are they willing to defer billing? Can they provide some kind of relief before this gets too far down the road? Who is willing to help you? When push comes to shove, the companies that will offer some kind of help are the ones you want to be doing business with in the future as well, and they know that. And this is a real test of them to see what they can do to help their loyal clients. And if you have a vendor who's a loyal vendor and they have never done anything for you, and now they're not going to do anything for you, you really need to assess that relationship. So the SBA has these disaster assistance loans for up to $2 million for the coronavirus. They're low interest loans, and they're giving them to businesses that, quote, have substantial economic injury due to the spread of the virus. They can use to pay off outstanding debts and payroll, just payroll, and other bills that you're unable to pay. But small businesses that, if you have credit lines, if you have a line of credit that you have access to that you're not using, or any kind of credit for that matter you're not using, you won't qualify for these things. So this is really only applicable to people who have no other options, no other access to any credit. The interest rate on these is around between 3.5 to 4, usually around 3.75. And those are called SBA disaster assistance loans. So another thing you want to find out about is how the banks and credit card companies might be willing to assist you. On one end, you want to maybe shop around for a lower credit, or move credit debt to credit cards that you may have or you may apply for that have like a 6-month 0 interest rate, and then move them credit card to credit card if you can. It'll save some card debt or have large credit card bills. Citi and Wells Fargo it's been a long day. Wells Fargo have issued statement they're willing to work with customers that experience financial difficulties. Citi said that for 30 days, this was about a week ago, so it's about 23 days left, small business customers are eligible to have their monthly service fees waived. Wells Fargo donated $6.25 million to help the public relief effort, and they're encouraging you to reach out to them. They don't want to see you default, and you don't want to default. Work together with them in a partnership and see what you can come to. You might be surprised. For those of you with federal student loans, you temporarily stop in, so be sure to call your loan servicer. I know there's huge on-hold wait times, but just get on that. That's free money for you, and that's a big expense. Make sure that you call your loan servicer to temporarily stop your loan payments. And then this is when Facebook announced a grant program that supports small businesses, and the information is available at if you type in business/boost BOOST/grant, you will be able to find out more about what they're offering. So that's facebook.com/business/boost/grant. So there are there too, and hopefully some information was helpful. I'm going to move over to the questions and comments. Sometimes when I put out the text I'm reading, I find that I've either logged off or the audio was spotty again, so I apologize for that case. So I'm going to scroll through these comments here. All right, yes. Let's start. The first comment I see here is from Vishal Chauhan, who says, will I post this on the Facebook group page? Of course. I'm going to, when I end the live video, I get to post a recording, and you'll be able to see it all there. Sandy Eveleth, love this idea after admin practice. Past was a great feeling. Not only is it a feeling, but I would do have Wednesdays when I took my first admin day. Every Wednesday, I would cut the week in half. So it was really great because you work 2 days and then you have a day off. You work 2 more days and I had the weekend off. And it was very good. It helped lifestyle a lot. 3 of those days out of 4 doing stuff. On the 4th day, I would do what I call an outing, and I would go fishing by myself, take a hike in the woods, something that stress and we enjoy life a little more. So Don't forget that if your chair, if you're seeing patients 5 or 6 days a week and your chair is empty, that by taking an admin day and not seeing patients, that they would have seen that, for instance, Wednesday. Will they're not gone. If we get this when we get this, if we have better quality, we appreciate the time that we're spending at home with our families, and we're able to incorporate that in our lives. I travel a lot. That I'm going to be saying no a little more because I'm enjoying being now. I'm rediscovering things that I lost touch on. It's very valuable. It's done great for my mental state. Yeah, I will be reading. He was saying that the I have it. Sandy L. Knapp. We're talking about the name, address, phone numbers. Please make sure that your name, address, and phone numbers are consistent across all your net properties. In other words, one property is your address and suite 100, and then the next, your Yelp says pound 100. That's not good for you. That doesn't help you with SEO. By having them all listed exactly the same, and that includes punctuation, spacing. They all should be the same on all your properties, and that'll help elevate your listing in search in your area for the products and services you want to be found for when people search Google for what you want to be found for. Sorry, Gary. Got here. A lot of up video. Darius, Google My Business also use an iPhone app for quick and easy access online. Yes, great. Thank you for that. So the mic, the mic was fun last night, and I don't know or why people or sound. Hopefully the recording is okay. Recording. Hopefully. Oh. All right. So, CNV shall tell more about social. Audio is yeah, I'm gonna write this down here. Give me a second. Hold on. I'm gonna post things in the chat. I'm gonna go. There we go. Let me cut. Just there we go. I posted some of the trying questions. Touched your face. I witnessed it. I'm touching my face. I refuse. Do you know how hard it is not to touch your face? Oh my God. The hardest thing has been not to touch my face. I don't know if I touched my face at all before. It's just freaking touching my face. All right. So, sweet by who I put lists under comments before. Yeah, it looks like there is the problem. We go after that question. I got hard in a couple minutes too. Specialties are important. Chris Peebles, would you suggest incorporating or continuing telehealth in a practice? Post the health. I'm a fan of telehealth. Telehealth they make between telehealth and hospital and telehealth on the field of combat. There is a substandard care in that because they're doing what they can with what they got at the moment. That's where we are. We're doing what we can in telehealth because normal health is still at this point below the standard of care we provide. So it's not ready for progress. We as a need to regulate it. So I'm going to get on my back. Get on my hypers about that. Okay, here's a question. Okay, David Rosenblum, you're a rock star, my idol. David, you're a rock star. Here's the leg guy. Classmate of mine from NECO 93. You man, good seeing you on here. Son, I'm going to type this. Sorry about audio. Will try and have with our internet connection seems to be the problem. When the video, see if you can keep that. That's great. Listen, I just want to say everybody safe. I'll be here doing more of these things. I appreciate you coming here to hang out with me. Email me, call me, message your life climate. I'm really sorry for everybody and all the hardships. I just want to make it as easy on you as I can using my many years in clinic experience as a independent practice owner and through the many connections through Facebook. So have a great day. Talk to you soon.